Okay, so I'm all done. I bled the brakes, installed the new shoes, the new cylinder. I reused the ratchet wheel that came from the OE part because I didn't like the cheaper one that was on the Duralast thing I got from AutoZone, made in China. I don't know if you can buy, OE made in Japan cylinders anymore. But hopefully the hydraulic part will be okay. I put a new rubber line on it, reinstalled the spindle pin, put it all back together. It's locked up right now using the emergency brake. I tested that. To help me install the strut, I actually put a socket in an extension back here so that it would stick up through this hole. That helped me to guide the strut up through it while I was using the jack to hold the bottom of the weight. I get it up in there, I bolt that in. It's easier said than done. Reinstall the spindle pin, put in a new spindle pin lock. That's kind of critical. That spindle pin's kind of an asymmetric length here with respect to this. I can't remember which side it is, but this is closer to one side than the other. There's a right way and a wrong way. That's an old spindle pin I pulled out originally. I bought new spindle pins back when I did that, thinking I might goof this up. I didn't, but it's always good to have a spare. There's the old strut and the gland nut that holds it in. It's got a lot of corrosion right there, and that gland nut was leaking oil everywhere, so that's why I decided to go with the strut carts. These are the kind I used. This is what I replaced it with. Get the box out. Sacks. This is an old shock I bought from somebody on one of the forums. I liked it because it was a non-pressurized shock, which meant there was no gas pressure like all the KBs and all those other ones that that do that. But installing it was interesting because what would happen is these strut tubes kind of want to stay down inside the cartridge, and you have to pull it, extend it all the way out to get the springs on top, and then put the nut on with the top with the insulator. Well, that thing was fighting the living daylights out of me. That's when I took the spindle pin, a spare one, and what I did was I let it share a nut over here, and I connected these two together, which essentially extended that much more, which meant I could feed that up through the spring, through the top, through the spring mount, and then get the and while I pulled it all the way through, I was able to take this off real quick, exposing that thread down there once it's fully extended and installed, and then I can put the nut on. You just got to do it kind of quick because it's going to draw back in again. I think the gas ones, one of the primary advantages, as soon as you cut that strap that holds them together, those things want to come out, which would make it 100 times easier to install. So, I mean, maybe my theory is one of the reasons they went to those gas struts was just to make the installation easier, frankly. But what I was thinking is ride height. Now, granted, it's a low pressure. I don't know if it's got enough debris to affect the ride height at all, but I like the ride height just fine the way it is. So I didn't want it lifting up any at all. Plus, the struts on the front of the car are in perfect shape, so there's really no reason to replace them at this time. So I was able to get, they're non-pressurized, obviously, because they're this technology, and this non-pressurized also is similar. So that was the theory behind it. Anyway, while I was over here, I went ahead and bled out. You can see the crappy color of that brake fluid. I bled out all the old brake fluid, put in fresh fluid. Probably replace that cylinder at some other future date. Same time I do that strut. This one's not really. This one doesn't have any oil leakage at all. It's completely dry here, so I don't think that one's a problem. And I remember that strut did not have that much corrosion like the other one did. So maybe that's my theory why that is what it is. But still, I mean, I like to have a match set, so that'll be a next weekend project. But for now, I've got it all back together. All I gotta do is put the tires on. I've already gone, like I said, I already did the bleeding. I already checked, make sure the e-brake is working, so I know everything's hooked up right. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe this might help somebody. Thanks for watching. Bye.